Oh, I'm sorry. After you left?
You're in the 7 minutes of the
And we have blood pressure issues. Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is July the 2nd, 2019. Time is now 6 p.m. Regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Trinidad will now come to order. Would you please rise for the pledge of allegiance? Greg, would you please lead us in that pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Donato,
Here.
Goodall,
Here.
Griego,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Matei,
Here.
Miles,
Yes.
Rico.
Here. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes? If none, call the motion, please. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Call the vote?
Donato,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Matei,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 3, policy items, staff reports. 3A, San Isabel easement through the city property. Mike?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is just kind of an information item. I've provided you with some maps. San Isabel Electric, their engineering firm, approached us. They are in the process of rebuilding the line from Power Plant out to Burro Canyon, which would definitely benefit the city of Trinidad to have that dual connection a little better. So with that, they're looking at alignments and the structures they have. I don't know if you could visualize the line coming down Great Creek Road, huge structure, H braces and everything, comes all the way up behind the hospital, across the top of Southside Park, over toward the golf course. And then from the corner of the golf course, it goes down across where the old Sopris Trail is going to go, the Boulevard addition. The reason they approach us is they want to change all that. They currently have an easement that goes right through, and if you look at the maps, I don't know if you can see those online, we kind of showed the two maps, one showing the old Sopris area where the trail is going to be built on that side of the river. It shows the existing alignment right through it, and there's about 12 lines on that. And they're changing the alignment to go farther to the southwest, would take it out completely of that, and they're changing the pole structure. They don't need all those conductors up there, so they're just going to go with single monopoles and 4 conductors. Just last week, Fred Sola from San Isabel called me and emailed me and said the railroad doesn't like where they're crossing. They're actually going to go farther south, so it even brings it farther away from the Boulevard Addition Park in our trail. So when that comes through, I don't foresee any problems. I don't know if it'll come to council or if city manager can sign that easement, but if there's anything that changes or if you have any questions on it.
Anybody have any questions on it?
No.
You're not asking us to pay anything, are you?
No.
And,
Okay.
like Mike said, the proposed alignment misses the Boulevard addition entirely, which is good.
Yeah. Takes all those, like, 12 lines out of it.
We're not gonna have any hangups with CDOT.
We won't. That's sad, isn't it? They've got to run through those permits. Yeah.
I got nothing.
When do they anticipate trying to get this done?
Well, with the initial alignment, he already sent me, easement documentation. But then when, the railroad said, no, we'd rather you not cross, I'm not sure why. They didn't like them crossing where they were, so they're having to readjust their alignment.
So you're not sure at this point if some of this may have to come in front of the council at any point, or any reason? It doesn't sound like
It doesn't, I don't think so, but I just wanted to keep
Gotcha.
council apprised of it because they'll be demoing stuff through our Boulevard Edition Park, and we've been so long anticipated that we're gonna get that thing going. Notice to proceed is out. They're gonna start, next week after the 4th and start actually construction on it, so.
Will there be any disruption to the power for those that go to that substation or anything?
I can't say their process, but generally they just phase it over and you don't even know that they did it. They just, both lines are live and then they phase one out.
Okay.
Okay, right, thank you.
Thanks,
Petitions or communications, oral or written, do we have anybody signed up? Serious thing? You gotta lighten up, isn't it?
Are you serious? You're not serious, are you? Serious.
Michael Boss?
Yes. Better bring that water with you. See? Yes. I had a problem last night. No, it's
Mike,
all
you
right.
have, in this particular aspect, you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening. After my presentation at the last session, one council member commented that people who oppose smart meter technology should be brought into the 21st century. It's not that we are opposed to technology, rather we are opposed to 20th century technology or safety standards. FCC regulations are based on 50-year-old science, and it's the FCC that must be brought into the 21st century. Since 2011, non-ionizing radiation produced from wireless technology has been classified as a possible Class 2B carcinogen by the World Health Organization. Are you aware of the smartphone health warning buried in the fine print of your owner manual? Controversy still rages about the link between cell phones and brain cancer, just as the arguments over the dangers of asbestos and cigarette smoking continued for years. Thousands of studies correlate long-term RF exposure with diseases such as cancer. And smart meters are making people sick. Symptoms include sleep problems, anxiety, headaches, concentration, memory problems, cardiac symptoms. Having these symptoms doesn't necessarily mean you're getting old. Teenagers have exhibited symptoms such as headaches, confusion, memory problems in school. Symptoms began when a smart meter was installed on their home. When the meter was removed, the symptoms went away. When one gets a prescription at the pharmacy, it comes with warnings about possible side effects, some of which can be serious or deadly. Is the City of Trinidad going to do the responsible thing and inform the public about the possible health and safety issues of smart meters? When you implement a smart meter opt-out program, how will you go about informing the public? What sort of notices might we expect? At the last session, one view expressed by council members was, quote, they should pay. The tone of the discussion seemed to indicate that you would penalize the consumer who wishes to keep their analog meter. Trinidad has some very old meters, but do all of them need to be replaced if they are working correctly? Santa Fe, New Mexico has analog meters that have been in operation since 1948. Analog meters have 2 to 3 times the lifespan of a smart meter and are on average 2 to 3 times cheaper. Opt-out fees that you suggested are among the highest in the country. If I heard correctly, the initial opt-out fee started at around $75, but during the discussion quickly exceeded $100. Suggested monthly charges, I believe, were $40 or more.
Colorado takes pride in its forward thinking, but other states are more enlightened when it comes to smart meters. There is no opt-out in Boulder. Durango, however, has a different plan. La Plata Electric charges a flat $20 per quarter year, which averages out to $667 per month. There is no one-time fee. Some other examples: Arizona Public Service, no fee for existing analog meters. $50 reinstallation fee if a meter is already in place. Monthly charge, $5. San Diego Gas and Electric has a one-time fee of $75. Monthly opt-out is $10. $5 for low-income customers. There's an opt-out fee sunset. Fees are no longer charged after 3 years. For all opt-out customers, readings by meter are bi-monthly. The non-read month is estimated. There's a legacy of higher electric bills that comes with the smart grid. Smart meters are perceived as a cash cow, benefiting manufacturers and utility companies with zero or negative benefit to the public. There is no federal law that forces smart meters on customers. Installation of a smart meter against the wishes of the homeowner constitutes involuntary exposure to RF. Paying one's utility provider an exorbitant fee not to be exposed to RF danger is very much like extortion. If it is the City Council's intention to quash an opt-out program in Trinidad, then punitive opt-out fees will achieve your goal, since opt-out will be impossible for much, if not most, of the population. But if your opt-out is genuine, then it will be affordable to all. Thank you very much.
Item 5, consent agenda approval. 5A is approval of the special meeting minutes of June the 17th, 2019, and the regular meeting minutes of June the 18th, 2019. Item B, approval of special event permit, malt, vinous, and spirituous, filed by Trinidad Music Association at 419 West Main Street for July the 13th, 2019. Is Melody in, or is she back there? Thank you very much. Item C, new retail marijuana cultivation facility application, filed by Rocky Mountain Tillage LLC at 36900 El Moro Road, and setting a public hearing for 6 p.m. on August the 6th, 2019. Carrie and Eric Spidell are represented here. Okay, they're here. Item D, retroactive authorization for the mayor to execute the grant agreement with the Colorado Department of Local Affairs for the Trinidad La Puerta Americana Road Infrastructure Phase 1 project. Item E, reappointment of Ruben Vigil to the Trinidad Housing Authority. I don't know if he's here. I don't think he necessarily has to be here. Item F, approval of special event permit, bulk malt, vinous, and spirituous, filed by Trinidadio Blues Fest Incorporated at 700 Smith Avenue, which is Central Park, for August the 24th. Trinidad Blues Fest. I think Jerry's here. Jerry's here. Item G, which is approval of the bills. Total amount of $973,295.11. And item H, approval of payroll, June the 29th, 2019, through July the 12th, 2019, in the amount of $361,000, $598.10. Which is included in that 973 approval of the bills. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, let's go and take the motion in a second, and then we'll get the
Okay.
question. Okay, have a
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, you have a question?
Yeah, on item 5B for the Trinidad Music Association, on their safety and security plan on page 13, they have listed as their event is February 22nd.
Good catch.
And that is supposed to be,
It is July 13th, that was our last event, and I thought we whited out and used the same form with a different date. I don't know how you'd like me to proceed.
so,
I can ask her to amend the paperwork if council wants to consider it. It's the same plan.
Okay. Just as a matter of record.
okay, thank you.
I got one comment, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
On the reappointment of Mr. Vigil, since he's not here, we'd be able to better table that item for the next meeting. Since know he's a board member and a regular, but we set our rules and our standards, and if they're not here, well, they're not here.
I was just wondering, because I know there's been a couple of times where we've approved somebody without them being here, I'm not sure if you remember that.
I don't know. I don't think we have. I think we, Mr. Lopez, we approved one time for a liquor license.
For a funeral.
For a funeral.
Right, that's
So-
what I'm remembering too.
But, as far as any other ones that, I think they should be present. I mean, if that means so much to them, I think we ought to table that and see what comes up with.
Okay, let's go ahead and table, if you want to take a motion to table line E,
Five E, yes, sir.
5E.
Yes, sir.
Motion to table, the reappointment of Reuben Beal to Trinidad Housing Authority.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
okay, then call the vote to table that item.
Benado,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Matei,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the initial items of consent and eliminating item E. Any other discussion on any of those items?
No, sir.
Not, call the vote?
Benado,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Matei,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 6, public hearing. Item 6A, new retail marijuana store license application filed by Magnolia Road Incorporated, doing business as Sugarloaf Dispensary at 411 North Commercial Street. Dan Martin or Kim Martin, are you in-house? Okay, please come forward. Hearing now is open. Would you please, when we come forward to.
Will you
swear in?
both come forward?
Come forward, please. She'll, clerk will swear you in, please.
Raise your, you swear to defend the testimony you're about to give us the truth, whole truth.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, gentlemen. For the record, we have Ken and Dan Martin, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And gentlemen, you are here tonight for a retail marijuana store application license. Is that right, a license application?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And we're talking about the applicant being Magnolia Road Incorporated.
Yes.
Okay, a Colorado corporation. And the trade name, if approved, would be Sugarloaf Dispensary. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
411 North Commercial Street.
Correct.
As we are beginning, would you please tell council, if you would, you currently have a retail marijuana store license, I believe, at 413 North Commercial. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Right next door?
Yes.
Would you please tell council what it is you're planning on doing? I mean, you're gonna have licenses, if approved, for 2 locations right next to each other. So would you please tell council what it is you're planning on doing, if approved?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So we are taking on the 411 space, which is right next to our existing space at 413. We're going to be setting up a new store under an entirely different brand. We're going to be using the space as kind of an area to try some alternative ways of selling. Currently, our business, Magnolia Road, is a pre-weigh business, or is a apothecary style business. We weigh out in front of the customers. Sugarloaf's going to do pre-weigh, different inventory controls. We're going to try some different point of sale systems, different packaging systems, different product lines. It's just an opportunity for us to experiment, and where better to experiment than right next to somewhere we can see the impact.
And this is a place where there was a marijuana license before, correct?
Correct.
What was the name of that business?
Tricana, I believe. I don't know what their corporate name was.
So if approved, this would be a retail marijuana store in a location where there was a retail marijuana store.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You have your, and council, I would like to point out, if I could please, the CUP approval was done by planning and zoning on July 31st of 2015. That is part of your packet. And I just want to make sure that you know that even though the last license was revoked, the conditional use permit has not been. Okay. So you understand the conditions of your conditional use permit, correct?
Yes, sir.
And are they identical to the conditional use permit you have for your existing marijuana store, if you know?
They're very close. In fact, I believe it references several units in that building, the CUP.
Okay. And so it's one CUP for a number of units, is that what you're saying?
No, they're independent, but I believe we're all referenced in there.
Okay. Because are there 5 marijuana facilities in that building, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that sounds correct.
Okay. And that is historic preservation zoning, that location,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
It is.
So you, because you have an existing license in the city of the city of Trinidad, you understand the marijuana code for the city of Trinidad, correct?
Yes,
And the state of Colorado?
yes.
Okay, if I could, in council's packets, there was a consent decree from the Department of Revenue on another one of your marijuana licenses. Would you explain that to them, if you would, please, what that was about?
Absolutely. We were asked to complete an order of voluntary compliance due to in Boulder, I think, just a little more than a year ago, the city operated a set of sting operations where they sent in minors to try to purchase in the various dispensaries. We did not pass, but it was deemed we did not pass because they were given an actual falsified ID, which I guess violated state rules. You're not allowed to conduct a sting in that manner. So we did fail, even though we ran it through our ID verification software. We asked a number of questions. The problem was this individual's picture was actually placed in the ID, so it was pretty difficult for us to determine it wasn't him, and it was a valid Colorado ID. So the state determined they needed to, we didn't quite violate the law, but something did happen, so we were asked to issue this order of voluntary compliance and issued a small fine along with it. Since then, I would like to add that we've revamped our identification software. We've hired a compliance manager who oversees all of our locations. And last I heard in Boulder, we turn in more fake IDs than any of the other 26 dispensaries. So, I viewed it as, it was a negative thing to be a part of, but it really gave us an opportunity to button up our business.
And you understand, I heard everything you said, but you're responsible for law and rule enforcement in your facilities.
Absolutely, no, and that's why we did the voluntary compliance order, and we paid the fine, and we revamped our compliance structure. Because ultimately what happened is we did sell to a minor, and I understand that, even though it was, that minor could have very well done that on his own, so I understand that, and we did fall into that.
You understand though, if you sell to minors and anything like that happens,
Yeah.
you can immediately lose your license or licenses in
Absolutely.
Trinidad.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yes, sir. And we do actually capture fake IDs in Trinidad from time to time, so we're on top of it.
How long have you had the other marijuana store in Trinidad? How long has that been in business?
We just completed our 3rd renewal,
Okay.
so I
going
guess just
into
over 2. We're going on our
4th
yeah,
year?
we're starting our 4th year.
Yeah, it was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. It actually just declared by that violation in Boulder, I think it was 2017. So that's
2017, it's been 2 years.
2 years.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, thank
Time
you.
flies.
And so we're clear, you have in Boulder a medical marijuana store and a retail marijuana store, and I believe a medical grow, correct? Those are your 3 other licenses, not in the city of Trinidad, is that right? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And so we're also clear, the ownership, first of all, Dan Martin, you're the president of the corporation, correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Ken Martin, you're the vice president secretary, correct? And a 45% ownership of the business?
Yeah, flip that, yeah.
Okay,
55 and
that is
45.
the majority.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. And so the landlord in this situation is Trinidad Holdings, correct?
Correct.
Sean Sheridan is the landlord? And he's the landlord on your other business?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 4-year lease, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And for the compensation set forth in the lease agreement, that's part of the packet, right?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. I want to ask you, Mr. Ken Martin, if I could please, also part of council's packet is the fact that you were recently placed on probation for a matter that I believe it was your second DUI. Will you tell
it was
council?
a DWAI, yeah,
Okay.
and it was 18 months ago, and, yeah, my first was in 1981, so
Okay.
there was almost a 40-year span between, but that was my second offense, and so I've been dealing with the consequences of that.
Understood. And you are still on probation for that, is that
I am,
correct?
yes.
Okay, thank you. You have your conditional license from the state of Colorado, that was in the packet. When, if you are approved, when do you hope to begin operating at this location?
Construction is about completed. I still have August 1st would be my goal
Okay.
to be up and operational.
Okay, and you know that you need your certificate of occupancy before you can begin any kind of business activity?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you know that you need, if you're going to be given it, you need your local license before you can order any product for this premises.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You understand that also if you're approved, you're responsible for everything, the renewal date on the license, all matters of compliance are your responsibility. You understand that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you gentlemen, you have your security system, the floor plan, all of that is part of the packet, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Still, some of it's under construction still, but yes.
Okay, I understand. And you know that if you are approved, you have the ongoing obligation of cooperating and complying with all city officials. You understand that?
Absolutely.
Clerk's office, chief of police, everyone, city attorney.
Of course.
Okay. And in times of, well, do you have any other plans for any other marijuana facilities? Are you gonna try to have a grow in support of this? I know your Boulder facility is a medical marijuana grow.
We have been contemplating adding on cultivation space, but nothing's firm yet.
Okay. You understand in times of utility austerity, you could be disconnected if there is a shortage. I know you're gonna be a store if approved, but, okay, council, I have nothing further.
Any questions from council? Mr. McDade? Terry?
No.
No, I don't.
Question? Not here?
I do.
Okay.
So I think one of the problems we're having with marijuana dispensaries here in town is the loop system, I think is what they're referring to as. What precautions do you take to ensure your employees are not allowing customers to buy, go to the car, come back in and buy it back and forth?
Yes, sir. Well, our staff monitors for it, obviously. I'd say the biggest advantage we have is we have a pretty richly used rewards program, and then we actually track everybody's name that comes in our store. So if you try to shop twice, we'll know you already. We scan it from ID data, so.
All right, thank you.
And follow-up question, you have that loop system, and they can come in now, but they can come in, how do you track that the next day? They're allowable, well, I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, the
Announce
next
it
day,
every
that's
morning.
pretty difficult for me to monitor
I
something
understand.
like that.
Announce
That's
the day.
allowed under, yeah.
Yeah, I think if our people, they use their best judgment, if they thought something was fishy.
It's just within that certain.
And we certainly empower our people to make judgment calls. When if they think something's not right, they're not gonna go through with it.
And I think I read in when that issue occurred, that the lady that sold to the underage person was terminated, is that correct?
She was, yeah.
How did you determine that when it wasn't really her fault in that?
Yeah, and you know, I think we found out the whole process later, but our first reaction was the employee should go.
It's a policy of our company, so that's the first thing we went to. So that's what we always said.
I think we later found out the system that we kind of fell into, you know, or how the city had handled, how they had conducted the sting. But initially, she was let go on the spot the moment we were told. And that's just our company policy.
Well, there's no further questions, I guess, from council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak for the application? Or against the application? If none, it's closed. Any reason for an executive session from council? None? Okay. Do I have a motion, please?
Move to approve the new retail marijuana store license application filed by Magnolia Road Incorporated DBA Sugarloaf Dispensary at 411 North Commercial Street.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call vote?
Benado,
No.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Matei,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Planning? Yes, planning?
This matter came on for a hearing on the application of Magnolia Road Incorporated doing business as Sugarloaf Dispensary at 411 North Commercial Street in Trinidad, Colorado for a retail marijuana store license before the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, acting in its capacity as the local licensing authority on July 2nd, 2019, in the City Council chambers in City Hall. The City Council, having reviewed the application and supporting documents, reports of the city clerk and other city staff, evidence of the hearing, and testimony taken during the hearing, makes the following findings. 1, the application is complete and signed by the applicant, and the applicant has paid the appropriate application and license fee. 2, the application appears to be in substantial compliance with all of the requirements of Article 11 of Chapter 14 of the Trinidad Municipal Code. The applicant has testified to their willingness to comply with any and all areas of said article whereby compliance at this time cannot be fully attained or substantiated. 3, according to the testimony of the application does not contain any material misrepresentations. The proposed marijuana businesses comply with the applicable zoning regulations. The City Council hereby finds that based on the testimony of the applicant, the building in which the proposed marijuana business will be located will conform to all Trinidad City codes, including the zoning code and all international codes adopted by the city. Ken and Dan Martin testified in favor of granting the license. No other persons testified in favor of or in opposition of granting the license. The applicant, through the facts and evidence adduced as a result of the city's investigation and testimony provided, has made a prima facie showing that the applicant owners are of good moral character, and any employees of this entity will likewise be of good moral character. According to the city clerk's report, there are currently 64 medical and retail marijuana licenses overall approved within the city of Trinidad, with 32 ownerships at 38 addresses. Based on the evidence presented in the hearing and investigative materials provided for the hearing, the City Council finds that the location of the business is appropriate, that the applicant owner is of satisfactory moral character, and that there is a willingness of the applicant to cooperate fully with the officials of the City of Trinidad in the operation of this business. Therefore, the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, as the local marijuana licensing authority, hereby approves and grants a retail marijuana store license at 411 North Commercial Street in Trinidad, Colorado. The issuance of said license shall be withheld until a certificate of occupancy is issued by the building and official, and upon absolute confirmation of compliance with the codes adopted by the City of Trinidad. The licensee is not permitted to possess products in advance of the license being issued.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item 8, which is miscellaneous business. 8A, a resolution adopting the utility customers advanced metering infrastructure radio transmission unit opt-out program. Could I have a motion, please?
So,
First and a second, I guess. Karen, a second.
I'll second.
Mike?
Council, just kind of a recap from our work session. We had a pretty good discussion. I took everything into consideration that the council has, and before you, you have a resolution for the opt-out program. We've had several customers request the opt-out, including Mr. Boss. I set forth a resolution, an application. Basically, the person must be the owner or have the owner's approval to opt out. Right now, we're installing or will be installing new meters in every home. So there, if they opt out now, there won't be that initial fee, but if they, in the future, decide to opt out, I've done a little bit of analysis on what it costs for a new meter or to reconfigure the meter so it doesn't have the RF transmission in it. There's 3 utilities. I averaged the cost of meters, and that is over 3 utilities. It's an average cost of, I'm sorry, 3 utilities, and then the meter serviceman, it's gonna be a different meter serviceman to replace each different utility, because there's gas, you have to be certified in gas, there's water, you have to have your state certification, there's electric. So there's gonna be 3 different costs. So I average the cost of those meters and the cost of the serviceman, plus benefits and the truck expense. That cost to replace a meter is going to be $175. Now, to go out and read the meter, if you remember, we did an investment grade audit on our system, and they analyzed all our billing, they analyzed all our meters, they went out and did an audit on every single meter, and found that we are basically losing money. So what we're doing is, with this automated meter, we're not getting rid of any meter readers, we're absorbing them into other departments so they can help with other activities in whatever department they go to. So if someone opts out, you're gonna have to call that person, that meter tech, and take them away from their job to go read the meter, and then take that meter read down to billing. Billing's gonna have to, again, manually key in everything into the system, make sure that it's converting into Tyler to bill correctly. So I figured the meter readers average with fringe benefits, I figured a half hour for a truck to roll. The billing updates and downstairs for all the clerks, half hour averages out to $62. So with that being said, in this resolution, there's a one-time fee for the removal of the meter of $175 per meter, a monthly fee for manual read of the meter of $65 per month. That's to read 3 meters. They're going out to one location and reading 3 meters. And then should they, meter reader, encounter a problem and have to go back, maybe a dog, or maybe, you know, nobody's home, the gates are locked, we can't get to the meter, they cover the meter for whatever reason, we have that. There's going to be another $32 fee for them to go back and reread that meter. If they don't pay those fees and we have to go back more than twice, then we're going to assume that you don't want to be in the opt-out program, and we're going to put an AMI meter back in so that we can get the reads. I've said this before, those meters are our cash register. Our infrastructure is failing. If we are not charging for the utilities that are being used, then we're losing money, and our infrastructure continue to fail. So, I welcome any questions, comments.
Is Bonanno?
No, I like it.
It's good on.
Looks good, Mike.
Thank you.
Smells?
I like the changes you made.
Gross?
I don't have any questions this time.
No, thank you for doing that, because that is a true expense. It's not punitive. It's what it's costing the city to put that manpower out on the street.
Correct.
Thank you.
Your presentation is carefully thought, reasonable and articulate. Thank you.
You know, the one thing I was correcting, and I saw in here, and maybe there's a reason for it, let's see what page that's on. It's on page 3, and it talks about the when they go out and it says removal of the meter and radio transmission installation of touchpad and touch read meter, physically read electric and gas, it says nothing about water. Any particular reason why that's not?
Water is the touchpad.
Okay, that is it.
That's the touchpad. Yeah, the other meters you have to physically go to them. The water meter will add a touchpad to it.
I think what I'm gonna do, at this point is, the resolution is quite short, and for anybody in the audience, I'm gonna read it. I think it's fairly short, it's not long. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Trinidad, Colorado, adopting the utility customers advanced metering infrastructure radio transmission unit opt-out program. Whereas the City of Trinidad provides utility services to properties located within its service area and has installed or is installing advanced metering communication devices, AMI, on properties within said service area, and whereas, despite the widespread acceptance of the AMI devices in Colorado, a small set of customers has expressed interest in not having AMI devices installed. And whereas the City of Trinidad Utilities Director has developed an opt-out program to set forth a process for an appropriate customer fees to be applied to those utility customers who wish to opt out of the advanced meter infrastructure, AMI, radio transmission unit installation and use. Now therefore be resolved that, 1, the City Council of the City of Trinidad hereby adopts the opt-out program, including the utility customers, advanced metering infrastructure radio transmission unit, opt-out program fees schedule, and application and request and agreement set forth herein, and number 2, utility customers may request to opt out from the installation of AMI technology on their property, and the city will approve such request subject to the terms of the request and agreement to opt out application of the advanced meter infrastructure AMI radio transmission unit, including payment of one-time installation cost and the monthly meter reading fee to recoup the cost of gaining these requests, and 3, said rate schedule may be adjusted by the utilities director on an annual basis upon analysis of actual costs incurred by the city. And of course, there's the adoption date. But I just thought I'd read that for when you were short.
I have a thought, if that's all right.
Sure.
Is it possible for us to get this information out to people so that way if they do not want to be a part of this and don't want to come back at us and say, hey, I wasn't aware of this, I could have opted out before the $175 fee, can we send out a yellow piece of paper with their next bill or something like that to inform them of the opportunity that they have before they may be stuck with a potential $175 bill because they did not know about it?
We could do that. That's an option. And we also have a list from when we had the company do the audit of every meter. We have a list of people who said, you know what, I don't want this. I think there's about 20 of them.
Okay.
So we'll definitely hit those and give them a copy, but we can put out a
right, because this is coming after the fact of the whole PMI surveys that we performed, etc. Right. I think that's only fair that we send out at least a letter saying, hey, if you want, we have an opt-out program, but you better act fast. Otherwise, you're going to be hit with this additional $175 fee. I think that's only fair.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, call the roll, please. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Benado,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Matei.
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 8B, first reading of an ordinance, amending the sections in chapter 14, planning and zoning, article 5, flood damage prevention, of the code of the city of Trinidad, Colorado, to conform with new flood insurance study and flood insurance rate maps issued by FEMA, and setting a hearing date for consideration of said ordinance, 6 p.m. on July the 16th, 2019. Could I have someone to introduce, please?
So moved.
A motion.
Give it a second.
Joe introduced. I introduced it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that was my mistake.
Okay, so need a motion?
I move that we adopt the first reading of the ordinance amending sections in chapter 14, planning and zoning, article 5, flood damage prevention.
Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Tom?
Mayor, members of council, what you have before you are the
very few updates that we need to put into our ordinances as a result of the new flood map studies and flood insurance rate studies that were done by FEMA over since 1978 was the last time they were adopted. So 41 years ago, they decided that it's time to do an update. Most of it is just language type things. There are a few updates to the maps, and like I said in the communication, most of that is due to better satellite drawings and imaging. It's kind of amazing. We were using it today actually. You can put in an address and pull up exactly where that address is and whether it's in the floodplain or if it's in the 500 year or the 100 year or if it's been removed from the floodplain as a result of the changes and stuff. Most of them have stayed very, very similar to what has transpired in 78 in our area. There are other changes across the country, but those are just minor as well. So. And in order to keep our flood insurance rates available to local residents, we need to adopt these changes in our ordinances.
Questions, Mr. Tim?
Not for me, sir, thank you.
I have none.
Have other communities already adopted this policy?
I would assume they have. I don't know as a fact, but everybody has to by August 28th or risk losing their availability of the flood insurance. I'm sure that some, several have. Okay. Haven't had direct contact.
No question.
We're just probably talking from the whole unit boulevard all the way down to Linden, mostly in that place.
In our area,
In
the
our
part that
area.
we're concerned with, yes.
Yeah, okay, okay, Tom, thank you.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Thank you, Tom. Call vote, please.
Benado,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Rigo,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Matei,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 8C, resolution accepting a decommission M1A1 tank for Pino Canyon Maneuver. Actually, okay, that's from the Fort Carson site for display in the city. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Let's have a discussion on that. Mr. Matei?
When Mr. Sun first proposed this, it was my suggestion that, given the expensive installation, we probably have to decide where it's going once, rather than.
We'll use the truck to pull it.
I remember as a kid, the cannons at Kit Carson Park were built, big hoop. I imagine this is as well.
90 tons.
And
90 pounds, 90,000
initially, it was
pounds.
proposed that perhaps over by the veterans thing at the southeast corner of Trina Park. It's my suggestion that maybe perhaps it go to the southwest of that location, which puts it basically the football field in land newly acquired by J. Trina, which needs to be some sort of a compromise if that's where we'd like for it to go. If it goes on city-owned property, then we have to be more diligent about finding someplace with the initial thought of doing it once in mind.
I agree. Karen?
No questions.
I feel the same way about placing it on that southeast corner because I went to the farmer's market recently and just seeing how people flood in right through there, you're taking away from potential space for people to have their activities. I would like it to be probably, like where you're mentioning by the memorial.
Behind, to southeast of the memorial.
And then as long as they have access to it, then they can go and check it out, climb on it and play and whatnot, but I think we would be losing some valuable land in that particular area of Chimino Park. So I just see how people flood in right through there. And when you have a big tank, well, that's gonna cause logistical issues, I would think. But I like the idea about it as long as, they're helping with the financial burden of putting it someplace. Because we're probably gonna have to put a pad of concrete down so we don't do something terrible to the ground underneath it, and it'll support the weight of it. 90,000 pounds.
That's all.
That's it?
That's it.
Was it 2,000 pounds a ton?
Yeah.
25,
Yep.
yeah?
So 45 tons?
Is that what it is,
45 tons, 90,000.
Is that with or without the mechanics, engine and everything?
Yeah, well, moving it would be problematic because it has no range.
And then you probably fill the nozzle with concrete or something. The barrel.
Yeah, I think we should keep it alive.
Sure, why not? We can use that for the 4th of July.
4th of July, shoot
Can
off
I ask you a
lights.
question? Why does Trinidad need a tank? I don't find them particularly beautifying. I worry about kids, he said, playing on them and falling off of the tank. I mean, it's just, is it historic? I mean, is it a really old tank from World War II? It's a current tank. It's a current tank, okay. I'm confused by why we need.
Well, I was just thinking about when I grew up playing in Central Park, you kind of, we're kids, we climbed on things, the old gunners, etc. And I can see kids probably climbing up there and doing that. Now, is that something we need to consider, like potential liability from someone
Well,
falling and getting
no
hurt?
reason.
Because this is a bigger device than just the old
It's
cannons.
bigger than monkey bars, I take it.
Just a
45
little.
tons.
That's right.
It's kind of similar to the train is a good example of people not supposed to be climbing on that train and playing on it. The tank will have to be the same way.
And they did send us specs, I wanna point that out, for the base, and they want us to put a fence around it so people can't get into the tank. It's for viewing, it's not for climbing all over.
And
If someone fell off of that, it'd be probably, what, an 8-foot drop?
Oh, yeah.
At least 7 days, yeah, at least an 8 foot.
We're gonna need a heck of a lot of concrete too.
Yeah.
How much concrete we gonna need there, Mr.
It's
Reed?
30 by 30, a foot thick with.
I looked in that, and I'll explain that just for the heck of it. A while back, I checked the 30 by 30 pad. At 12 inches thick would be about 22 yards of concrete. If it was a 10 inch, I think it was something like 16 or 18 yards.
So we're talking bill wise, money wise.
Well, and that's the thing that I was going to, I'll explain everything, is our expenses, the only thing that we're talking about as, other than that, they do want $1,000 from the city of Trinidad for the painting, so they can repaint the unit, and that goes to Fort Carson. Now, the fence, whatever the fence would cost to go around it. I've talked to actually Bob Just already, just for the heck of it, to see if he would engineer at no cost to us for the pad, and he said he would do that. So I was thinking maybe we could talk to, maybe a combination of, maybe Leone's and the other place, that they would provide the concrete maybe, or at a discounted rate or free of charge, I don't know if they would. The other thing I was thinking is that, we have given a lot of business to a couple of larger contractors in town. We can talk to them and see if they would lay the concrete at a no charge, so all we can do is ask.
Sure, but with that being said, if we sign this resolution, that means we're gonna be taking it without having those other things set into place.
Well, I think this is just accepting the tank at this point.
So if we accept it, we have to have a place for it then, right? I mean, how long are they gonna hold it for us until we're ready to receive it?
Yeah, there's no definite time.
We can
Just a
keep it
matter.
close backyard.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, you
Bring it to the Cawthon or point it down at the golf course and just scare the crap out of some golfers.
You know what I can't see though, is that, as I read this statement here, it says, expenditure requires cost of construction concrete pad. Now I'm hearing about a fence being put around it, and all this other kind of stuff that, at our expense too, I guess. You know, 'cause, they're gonna do something, put it in here. I mean, cost of the concrete pad, fine. But now we need a fence around it, okay, put it in this stuff. Don't let us be hanging out here and just saying, well, no cost is gonna have to be interior is just a concrete
They
pad.
just saying that, I didn't look at that. They did the same thing about they did recommend a fence.
One of the emails.
One of the emails that we got, it did recommend
They
it.
Well,
did
why,
that.
it should have been in here
Sources
too
can
then,
require
instead of just, in an email.
The fence is gonna be the cheap part, honestly. The
Right.
concrete is gonna be,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, how much did we spend at the golf course there for that pad?
24,900.
For about an area half the size, so we're still looking around $12,000 approximately, especially for a foot thick. They only did 4 inches thick.
Well, and it depends on the pressure,
Foot.
it depends on the PSI,
What Bob?
and Bob will,
What Bob
Determine
engineers it at?
yeah, and he'll engineer it to.
This is just a thought. I mean, in order to utilize the tank as a PR piece, if you would say, put Trinidad Home of Piñon Canyon or something.
I think we can do something like that, a plaque, I think it'd be right, and anybody who donates any material, can put their name on it, saying, material or whatever donated by such and such
But it's
contractor.
coming from I see where the home, but it's coming from Fort Carson.
Yeah, Home of,
To Michelle's point about having a tank, what precipitated the offer?
Nothing, they just came to me and they asked me.
Out of the blue, the Army called and said, do y'all want a tank?
Yeah.
We got swapped for Homeland Security. I remember.
He just came and says, we got a tank, and if you guys want it, you guys can have it.
I think it's just in conjunction with Piñon Canyon and our relationship together, and they just thought it would be a good gesture, and we want to give you a tank.
Well, and I read the resolution, it says, whereas the city of Trinidad has interest in maintaining good relations with Fort Carson and Pinyon Canyon. So if we don't accept it, I guess we're not maintaining good relations.
Really?
I think my major concern is so much where are we gonna put it? I would rather know where before we just say, well, we're gonna accept it, but we have no place really where we're gonna
And they're
place
aware,
it.
and they're aware of that. They're aware that, you know, it's gonna take us a little bit of time to find the adequate spot. That's why we wanted to get an okay from you to just be able to accept it. And then we'll look and see, where we're gonna put it.
I think it would be attention getting.
It would,
You know, it would be an attraction of sorts.
we can take it out and put it out at the
Fairgrounds.
fairgrounds, but
Yeah,
that's
but
not,
nobody goes there,
Yeah.
usually.
What about, Kit Carson?
Or even Central Park out there by the gazebo area.
I think it would be more appropriately placed in conjunction with an already existing military display.
Maybe not
Rather
for
than, rather than put it somewhere else. And, you know, dare I say, when one considers what's planned for the 4th of July in Washington, I guess a tank in Trinidad is not a real big deal.
we'll leave it at that. Anyway.
Play of armament.
Anyway, like I say, let's, you know, we'll, take a vote on this, and then we'll look at, where that placement will be. I think, we'll bring that back. Let's find an adequate place for it. Find 2 or 3 suggestions and go for one.
Well, we're not putting the tank in front of the horse here, are we?
No.
I mean, seriously, I mean, because we're accepting something before we have a place to put it.
The tank doesn't, you know, you don't need a tank.
It's a weird metaphor. I wasn't trying to get giggles, but
The land that I'm suggesting is in the ownership of J. Jimmy and I just purchased that from the guys at Walker Church. As a supporter of the military as he is, as I know him to be, I can imagine that he would be receptive when you approach him. To ask him about placing it in that corner of his land. I don't know that he has any specific plans for
You're
it.
talking about where the flagpole is right over here. Behind it?
Across to the south of Chimino Park, we have that brick wall. And then there's a display of military display. What I'm proposing is, because there's limited space there for something to be, behind that, which would involve the removal of, as I was looking at it, probably 6 or 8 trees. And then a place, well, it's, right now it's fenced, it would be the northeast corner of the football field. The existing Trinidad Catholic football field. But you encumber that portion of Jay's newly acquired property to display this tank.
is the tank operational?
No.
No.
So it's something that we can like move a little bit to like place it?
Once it's there, it's there.
Get the army, will bring it, they'll offload it, and there you are.
I still find nothing beautiful or terribly interesting about the hang. What are the people you talk to? What are their opinions? I guess I'm kind of outnumbered here. I can see it being very controversial, just like, you know, big guns for the police. I mean, you know, that was a big deal.
This doesn't operate though.
No, I understand that, but
I
it's,
mean, this is a common thing,
it's-
the military does this regularly. You've probably seen lots of towns with jets in the parks,
Yeah.
things like that. I've seen all sorts of different military equipment. We have some, when they decommission it, they aren't giving it to us. They're leasing it to us for nothing. So it always,
is there maintenance involved?
Other than maybe upgrade
yeah,
of paint.
well, little, I mean,
Paint,
not much. There isn't a whole lot you
All right,
can do to it.
everybody wants to go along with it,
But it's,
Well, you
kind of
could develop,
perplexed.
you know, not,
yeah.
maybe we should pass until we find a place and then. I mean, just to
Well,
get
it
it.
kind of ties in with my point, which is,
Yeah.
what if this thing was across the street from my house? I would hate it.
Well,
I would literally hate it.
but it's not, it's in conjunction with an existing, military memorial.
Right.
And, you know, I don't know, are those cannons still in Central Park?
Yeah.
yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
They
There's
used to
one
have
there,
one
there's-
at the National
There's
Guard.
one at the cemetery.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some required
Maybe even
cemetery
like the Welcome
Central
Center where we
Park.
have the or the Korean Memorial.
First of all,
That's about as big as-
I'm like Carlos, so first of all, we better find out
Yeah,
if we, Mr. Jamil.
And we'll discuss that with him.
Yeah, see what
Yeah.
happens there.
I guess the only thing here is, are we willing to accept it? I mean, we can always, say no right down the road if something happens, but I think just now so that we can move forward to find out some of these other costs and, where we wanna put it, I think it's as simple as that.
If we feel obliged to respond to the military, we could suggest to them that we accept it contingent on the fact that we've worked with Mr. Trim to find a place to properly display it. I agree with you.
Okay.
Well, how big is it exactly? Besides the
I
weight?
mean, I think it's probably a
They're big.
good.
Is it like about a half the size of this room?
Probably about 10 foot wide, 8 to 10 foot, 9 to 10 foot wide, and it's probably, I think it's 26 or 32 feet
That'd be
long.
just under 30 feet long.
Here's the width of this room at least.
This room is probably at least about 40 feet.
No, it's
No.
not 20 feet wide.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
on a 30 by 30 pad, it has to be less than 30 by 30 feet.
No, I said this room is
Yeah.
about 40 feet long. If you said,
No, that's a lot.
It would probably be the width of the room, maybe a little less.
Is General George still in command of that?
Yeah, but he's been in Afghanistan since
So
December.
who's the chief up there now?
Ryan,
Yeah.
General Ryan?
yeah, he's a one-star.
Brigadier too.
It's a brigadier, yeah.
I think that's what we ought to do, find out first.
I would like to make a motion that we table this until we find out more about where we can actually place it, before we just say, yes, we'll receive it, but we have nowhere to put it yet. Because if we commit, because I feel if we say we're gonna take it, then yes, we're gonna take it, but I don't know where we're gonna put it.
We could put it in the middle of City Hall over there, behind the parking lot. Look at
That's how I feel. I mean, we do so much other planning to place other things in our community, but yet we're willing just to take this and yet say, oh, we may renege on this later because we don't know where we're gonna put it. I don't like to do that, especially with the military. We are trying to foster a good relationship. I think for us to respond by saying, we wanna do this, but we wanna have a good place at home for it before we commit to it, let us do a little bit more work because, I mean, this is the first time it's come before us, other than when you brought it forward in a council report.
Yeah, we brought it to the council report, just let you know this was coming.
Um,
To be honest with you, I think we're making a bigger deal out of this than what it actually is. We really are.
I'll just make a motion to table it, find out what we're
Council
gonna
wants to table it or not?
Yes, I made the motion. If
Second
someone
the table?
There's a table, there's a motion on the floor.
He's also
I
making a
think
motion to table.
Yeah, until we find out second, I guess. Find out where we're gonna put it.
Okay, call vote for table?
Benado,
Yes.
Goodall,
No.
Griego,
No.
Lopez,
Yes.
Matei,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Rico.
No. Fourth.
Motion passes. Motion to table.
Okay.
Good math.
Sorry. He needed a lunch.
Socks off.
Okay, so we have to go back to the resolution. We have a first and a second of accepting decommissioning M1 tank. We have a motion and a second. We discussed that, so we need we're accepting or not accepting at this point. So we need to take a motion on.
Mayor, if I could, the motion to table was approved.
Right, but we also have the resolution accepting, and now we'll have to take a vote for a no in this particular case.
Okay.
No, I think the motion overrides
I think so too.
I think it
Yes.
does. I think it
Okay.
does.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Just for general knowledge, I looked it up, it's 12 by 32. 26 is on here too, and how wide is 32?
It probably has an overhang.
Yeah.
Maybe on the ground, it's
On the
26.
ground,
So I guess the biggest thing now would be, we'll have to try to find an adequate spot, and then bring it back. probably another resolution.
And I'm willing to help, look for a spot.
I can contact, Jay or somebody contact Jay and see if they.
Maybe,
You got his phone number, right?
maybe Mr. Beach has some kind of ideas, huh?
You can probably.
Well, I don't think they really need an answer back.
Okay.
They're really not expecting. Fort Carson is not really accepting, or is not really expecting an answer back. At some point they do. But right now, I think the biggest thing is we just wanted to bring this resolution forward to see what council wanted to do. And then, I think ultimately we'll probably accept it.
Yeah.
But we just gotta find the right spot.
I think within the next, by the second meeting we have from here, we should have a location that we can utilize.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Council reports. Mr. Bernard.
I just want to say about Santa Fe Trail Days. I think it was a good turnout. Everybody seemed like they had a good time down there, and it seemed like everybody was happy, all the vendors there and everything. The kids were having a good time, so congratulations to the chamber. It seemed like it was a pretty good success.
Rusty.
Speaking of the general, I was at the Brigadier General's house on Saturday for a barbecue and a fireworks display. I got to see the Colonel and give him a hard time about talking crap about the Navy. I couldn't pass that opportunity up from the last time I seen him. So it was, I took a service-connected disabled veteran friend of mine and his wife with us. And it really meant a lot to him, and it was a really good time.
Good.
And the display was most excellent.
Working forward, I went to the chamber luncheon where, what's his name, spoke about the Southwest Chip.
Mr. Grauberger.
Yeah, Grauberger. And it's very interesting, gave a terrific presentation. I think some of the stats might need a little bit of polishing in there as far as the distance between Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
But anyway, people are working really hard on it, and he had a lot of nice things to say about Phil's efforts in that regard. Let's see, I attended a benefit for the local group working with autistic children, which is Joe and Mary Jo and Jen put a lot of work in on it. I mean, good Lord, did you tell me that you made $3,800?
$3,800.
There were easily 150 people in that room. The music was great, and Carol Bolton and Pat Fletcher, and Mr. Sundquist as well. And then I spent some time with Dana Crawford. I guess she had a kickoff thing at the La Quinta. It was a Lebanese feast, and I hadn't had good Lebanese food in a long time. It was very common in New York. But anyway, it was all homemade, and one of the groups that she works with, mother and daughter, made all the food. And it was a really nice event. Then I spent Monday touring with the Colorado Funders, and that was very interesting. I don't think I can take the trolley ride many times. Seeing it through new people's eyes. I mean, I couldn't go with all of you that many times because we've all seen it before. But seeing it fresh through other people's eyes, it was just terrific. And then the next day we had breakfast and I guess a visioning kind of exercise with the funders to let them know what are the types of things that we need in Trinidad. It was kind of a mini rural philanthropy days, and it was very well attended, and I was impressed with how many people were there. And one other thing I just want to mention, I've told all of you individually, but I'm not sure I've announced it to the public, but I will be joining the CHAFA board starting July 25th.
Congratulations.
And as a result, since the days of the meetings conflict, and I was going to come off the ARPA board anyway, I'm going to need to resign from that board because they're the identical Thursday of every month, and I have to go to Denver. Can't do both at the same time. It would make for a very long week if someone decided to change the day for me. So anyway, I'd like to ask you to put on the agenda. We can't vote on it now. but the possible appointment of Greg's son to the board of directors to go along with Mike Valentine, I've talked to them both.
Okay, put that down, Audra.
And that's all I got.
What else?
I heard about Santa Fe Trail Days. Unfortunately, I had to go out of town for an ill family member. I apologize for not being there on Friday night's
Oh, it was a great
opening.
event. It was a great
But
event.
I was fortunate enough to go to the Ludlow Memorial annual event. The mayor was there along with 2 other commissioners. It was really nice to see such a large turnout in the kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it really demonstrated to me a lot how many people care about our labor movement and unionization still in this country. It was nice to discuss some other topics with people that were there after the speeches were done, and they had a great little barbecue after. It was really nice. So I was really happy about that, because I've never been able to go, because it always falls on the same time as Santa Fe Trail Days, and we're always trying to be there for that. But it was really enriching. I just want to leave it at that, and humble it to know about what people suffered. Also, I just want to make an announcement that I will not be running for re-election this year, as I will be running for the Senate 35 districts campaign. So, sorry that came out really jumbled. Kind of nervous saying it, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of scared, but excited at the same time. I feel like maybe this is how people feel when they're expecting a child that they want. They're nervous and scared all at the same time. So, but anyway, that's what I'll be doing. So you guys will have to have fun without me next year.
Good, what are we supposed to clap?
No, you don't have to clap. Yeah, if you want to have fun. Yeah, here's the fun. But anyway, I just wanted to make that out there because I said it submitted a letter of intent. Thank you.
Here.
I went to the library board meeting last Monday night, Tuesday night, I can't remember. But anyway, the librarian Mallory is starting to work on their budget for the upcoming year, and they're concerned, for some reason they think the budget is gonna be cut, but they're starting to work on that. It's silly, it was a coincidence because that night we talked about the summer reading program, and every year it gets bigger and better and bigger and better. And then I had somebody come in my office and make a statement that people are afraid to send their children to the library. I said, that's absolutely not true, because our summer reading program is increasing every year. So the people, I think Mallory's gotten a bad rap because of the homeless situation in Trinidad. People have to understand that public libraries are nationwide a haven for homeless people. Any kind of public building, we have it here at City Hall. She's doing a great job. She's putting on a magic show. I think there's other things planned for this summer for the kids, and she's doing a really good job. That's it.
I did attend Santa Fe Trail Days. I found it to be typical of Linda's efforts to make things successful as best she can with the limitations of the resources, and she should be commended.
I try to charge Mr. T $5 for a snow cone, but
Didn't work, I attended the Santa Fe Trail opening, that was about it. I couldn't go there because it was my wife's 50-year graduation out of Trinidad High School, so they had a weekend event, so I was not able to go to the events.
I went to have.
So they had an event Friday evening and all day Saturday, so I was not able to go. But one of the things that I found that it's really refreshing to me is that of several events or openings or whatever, that I find that either 1, 2, or all 3 commissioners are there. It's very refreshing to see that they are participating, that participation that I haven't seen in the 3.5 years that I've been here. So it's really great to see that they are showing up to meetings or showing up to events, their openings, and so, you gotta commend them for doing that. It's nice to see. Also attended the Ludlow thing. I typically try to go every year. That is something that is dear to me for particular reasons myself. I also attended the when David Crawford was here, And the Colorado Funders, that was the 24th and the 25th. It was really interesting to me, and all three of us were there. The people that were there, we had people, we had like 3 or 4 people from DOLA. We had actually the, what was his name?
Rich Garcia.
Rich Garcia.
The head of DOLA.
He was the head of DOLA.
Yeah, the new head.
Yeah, the new head of DOLA. And we had someone from the Gates Foundation, Al Pomar. Betcha was there.
Who was the one sitting
OEDI.
next to me? I didn't know that foundation. Ray Lewis,
There was a dental foundation that was there.
there was a dental foundation.
Margaret Hunt was there from OEDIT. So, you know, the type of people that were there was very, very interesting.
Went for public trust,
That's
nature
right,
conservancy,
yeah.
everybody was
Yeah,
there.
they were there. I mean, the group of people that were very high level people, and there was some good questions and some good conversation that went on. So one of the things that after this, Amy Schweidig, who actually was one of the people that helped put this together, along with Mr. Collins, I think was his name. Can't remember for sure. But afterwards, they're thinking of coming back at some point again and doing the same thing or maybe something different. So that's not. Anyway, that's. Also went into the Temple plaque unveiling on
that's
Saturday
good too.
before.
Yeah, that was nice.
And you were there as well. They celebrated their, of course, the unveiling plus their 130 years of having the, you know, the church there. So it was nice to see. I think that's all I did. So anyhow, Greg, yeah, no,
I reported earlier, but we are being asked to be the sponsors this year for the BUILD grant, which is the grant to further improve the rail bed for the Amtrak line. And we are being asked to put up $12,500, which I think we've done in past years. Is there any objection to doing that again this year?
For the outback, you said?
Yeah.
Is that the former Tiger grant?
Yes.
That was Tiger Grant 9, this is gonna be Tiger Grant 10, I think.
They just changed the name?
15th name.
And then, between applying for a GOCO grant and also a DOLA grant for the management study for the Fisher's Peak property, I was asked if the city would be willing to put up $10,000 match for that. I'm not sure which grant it would be, and I'm not sure we would have to put it up. It'd be, depends on what the fundraising efforts are.
And then again, this is for what now?
This is for developing the management plans, so, it's estimated it's gonna cost $200,000 to $300,000.
Our match is 2 to 3?
No, our match would be 10,000.
10,000, okay.
Excuse me.
That's in addition to the 79 that we approved for marijuana funds for first quarter, second quarter.
Nothing went to that, or you mean the 7,800?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what did I say?
7,000.
Oh, I'm on drugs.
Careful what you say.
And you're on record.
We're gonna strike that.
And then Senator Gardner is visiting Trinidad tomorrow morning. I just want to remind everyone that the Starburst Award through the Colorado Lottery, that's been rescheduled for August 2nd at 1 p.m. at the Trinidad History Museum.
August
August 2nd, history
That
was
was,
the Starburst Award for the GoPro 1000.
And it was for the purchase of the Crazy French Ranch as being one of the most significant uses of lottery money.
What time is that?
1 o'clock p.m.
August the 5th.
August the 2nd.
Second.
It's a Friday.
That's Friday?
And then we got notice, I think Friday, that the DOLA hearing that we'll be testifying on for the grant for the sewer trunk line, that will be July 16th in Rifle. We'll be attending that, and I think Mike will be attending that also.
Okay.
Nice of them to have it so close.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really,
That's it.
well, Cortez wasn't exactly a short trip.
Yeah.
Les?
Mayor, thank you, council members. The only thing I want to say is that I'll be reporting on the Hamer versus Trinidad case at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Don't want to say anything now, but I will have information we impart publicly at that time. But that's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Item 11, executive session. We have actually three items, actually. Executive session, 11A, for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and or instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6-4024E. Trinidad Housing Authority requests to waive the payment of lieu taxes. And second item on that is economic development, requested by City Manager Greg Sun. And item 11B, which is for discussion of a personnel matter under CRS section 24-6-402-2F, and not involving any specific employees, so we request a discussion of the matter in open session. Any member of this body or any elected official, the appointment of any person to fill an office of this body or an elected official, or personnel policies that do not require the discussion of matters personal to particular employees. City manager evaluation update requested by Mayor Rico. Motion to go into executive session, please. Second? Second. Call vote, please.
Benota?
Can I have a comment on this before I go?
Sure.
I just wanted to say that I was gonna vote no and go into executive session if Mr. Shire would have been here with his Trinidad housing request, because that point was reached and discussed quite a bit in our special meeting that we had with her. But since she's not here now, and I still say that executing the executive sessions the way we had the last couple times were under wrong deals. I know I got a comment on that, but I've done a little investigating on myself, so probably next meeting I'll have something on that. But since that's not here, I'll say yes and go into executive session.
That was a long yes, Joe.
That's because it has to be done and done right, doesn't it? Okay.
Goodall?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Matei?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Let's go take a break on the top
Is this
right.
gonna be one